1969 to 1981, a serial killer known to drift along railways was suspected in 15 murders of boys in 4 states, from Illinois to Arizona. This is the story of William Freight Train Gautney. Hello, it is Friday. Welcome back to Kelly's Coffee and Crime Chat. It is Friday, June 16th. I'm so bad. 16th, June 16th. Man, this month is flying by. I had to sit here and think, what day it was. And I just got off work, so I should have known what day it was as many times as I've written the date down. But I am back with another true crime case. And I want to thank a listener for getting a hold of me and telling me about this. Her name is Jamie. So thank you, Jamie, for telling me about this case. I never heard about it. I don't even remember my parents ever talking about this. What a case this is. Wow. Now, I am drinking today Java Mama Jelly Bean coffee. Now, our Jelly Bean was in our Easter collection. I still have many coffees left over from Easter and Christmas, which they're still good. I even have some of my fall ones left over. Most of them are in the K-cups because I drink the K-cup versions when I'm doing my podcast. If I'm recording in the afternoon after work, I make my pot of ground coffee in the morning, and then when I come home after work, I just want 1 cup. I'll do the K-cup. So that's why I am drinking the Jelly Bean today. It's actually really good. And you really get that jelly bean candy flavor. As always, I add sweet cream to my coffees. But there's a new tea that come out in Java. Java Mama's air roasted. Our coffee is air roasted. Better for your gut. And we also have wonderful, wonderful teas. The new tea came out with today with chamomile. I'm pretty sure it's today it comes out, but it's called Calm the Flock Down, and it's got flamingos on the front of it as the design. Calm the Flock Down. I thought that was great. That's in our underground section. Our underground section has on the menu, if you go to the menu, I will put the link in the show notes, but if you go to the underground, they'll have names like Coping the F Out of This Life, and that's like a oatmeal cookie flavor. And there's another one called STFU, which I have not gotten. I need to go back to the underground menu and look and see what all there is, because they have got the best coffees. And if you like strong coffees, and if you're one that's not really crazy about flavored coffees, you should go there and look and see what they have, because there's a lot that's on there that's not even flavored. But I love the names. The names rock. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start with this case. My sources are the Panagraph and Wikipedia. Like I said, I have not heard about this, but this is the story of William Freight Train Gautney. He's a drifter who traveled a lot by train, and there's more in this. And this happened a long time ago, which I know it was harder. No DNA back then, and it was just harder to get to solve murders back then. It's a lot better now. But William Freight Train Gautney was born February 14th, Valentine's Day, 1922. He was born in Pekin, Illinois. Like I said, I'm so shocked that I haven't heard this, because that's right here in my area. His mother abandoned him after he was born, and he was adopted by Bert and Ruby Gautney. And if you remember my case last week, that exact same thing happened, where he was abandoned right after birth and then adopted. If you listen to my last case, it was, isn't that terrible? I forgot his name. But I didn't even write it down here. But you'll know it. You'll know it when you go back to listen to the last case. And that was a doozy as well. But as a kid, William lived in Kansas, places like Fredonia and Treese, Kansas. His dad was a coal miner. He ended up having pneumonia and died on January 24th, 1935. He was only 35 years old, his father was, when he died. And this is his adopted father. William then moved in with his grandparents. He lost interest in school and dropped out. So he then took to the streets for survival. In 1935, he started stealing and drinking. Now, of course, this is a different time. A lot of kids did this. Not the stealing and, well, I'm sure they did the stealing and drinking, but I mean, taking to the streets and living on the streets. It's nothing like it is. It's nothing like it is today. So after staying with his brother, he left and started changing addresses all the time. He just went from place to place. He did low-skilled labor work, and he was put in jail many times for theft and passing bad checks, plus indecent exposure, and also for public drunkenness. I don't know exactly. I don't know if he got drunk and then did the indecent exposure or what, but he was in trouble for petty things like this. In 1942, he had to go into the Army. He was drafted. And in 1944, he got a head wound and was discharged. He went to a veterans hospital in Boise, Idaho. He had problems with his memory and showed confusion. He was put in a psychiatric hospital and was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and organic brain damage is what it said. Organic brain damage. I was going to look that up because I'm thinking that's like more like he had brain damage, but from nothing that they know of. I mean, I just thought he had brain damage from the head injury. Like I said, I should look that up before I start talking because now it has me really interested thinking about this. He also was in the hospital for alcohol abuse. He had to be hospitalized 66 times in different clinics. In his late 50s, he only associated with his brother and his brother's wife. So he like shut out everybody else. And he would only talk to them and he would visit them a lot at their home in Kansas. Now, mid-1976, he was questioned about a murder of a 12-year-old boy, Jacob Serber, and a 13-year-old, John Simpson. This was in Lincoln, Nebraska. They disappeared on August 30th, 1975, after being at the state fair in Nebraska. Jacob's body had many stab wounds, and he was found 9 days later south of the fairgrounds. John's body was in a closed hopper car. Another thing I was going to look up, but guess what? I forgot to do that. I've got to remember to look things up because I like to do that and then explain what they are. But it is a hopper car. And he was found in a closed hopper car on September 22nd, and it had been moved by a railroad train to Council Bluffs, Iowa. I'm thinking a hopper car is something that's on a train. I mean, that's what I take of it. If I do end up looking it up, I'm going to see if I can find an image that I can put on my Instagram of what it looks like. So I got to remember to do that when I get off of here, because the only photos I have is of William and some newspaper articles. But that was John's body that was in the closed hopper car. Moved by a railroad train to Council Bluffs, Iowa, and then it returned to Lincoln shortly after. So he was also, they wasn't sure about his death, but they ruled it as a stabbing because he had chipped bones. There was chipped wounds on his bones. So Gautney denied any involvement in these murders. He was released because there was no evidence linking him. So then he left Nebraska shortly after that. I have to get a drink of coffee. Okay, as I'm talking, my mouth gets dry, and I did not bring my water up here. Mid-1979, law enforcement gathered for a meeting to start investigating 15 murders of boys they thought was killed. They thought these boys were all killed by the same person. They all were between the ages of 8 and 14, and they were killed between January 72 and May of 79 in Illinois, Nebraska, Kansas, and Arizona. All were found near railroad facilities during fairs. So when the fair would come through town, that's when they were found. They thought the killer was a fair worker. I was going to put carny, but I'm not sure if that's really the right word I'm thinking of. Gautney just happened to work at fairs. And he was a cattle herder at these different fairgrounds. He would imitate noises, animal noises, all these other noises, which entertained the kids. So he related a lot to the kids. The kids liked him. They took to him very easily. They found a letter opener on William, which matched the stab wounds of Jacob. I can't read my handwriting. It was the last boy I just talked about, Jacob and John. I can't find it now, but anyway, it was Jacob and John. Jacob Serber. I just wrote it like doctor there, and I couldn't read it. So Jacob Serber they thought had been stabbed by a letter opener. August 20th of 1975, William was arrested in Springfield, Illinois, and charged with both the murders of Jacob and John. So, he was also a suspect in the murders of another one of my handwriting. It looks like Durnil. And he was 11 and from Omaha, Nebraska. A girl in Hutchinson, Kansas, and a boy in Rock Island, Illinois. 3 boys in Chandler, Arizona, and many more he was a suspect in. I don't know if all these, I'm taking they all had the same type of wounds, and they were all found like these other boys were, or these other victims by trains or during fairgrounds. He was taken to Topeka, Kansas, and charged with 12-year-old John Hanrahan, Hanrahan, Jr.'s murder. He was killed May 20th of 79 after leaving a bowling alley. He pled not guilty and was taken to Lincoln, Nebraska, charged with Jacob and John's murders. He was also a suspect of a Pekin boy named Mark Helmig, Helmig, who was 9 years old. Now, this Mark, he was strangled and found naked, decomposing inside a hopper car in East Peoria railroad station. So there's another body inside a hopper car. East Peoria railroad station, August of 1976. 3 weeks after he went missing. Then there was a 14-year-old Marty Lancaster, a boy that was found near fairgrounds in Normal, Illinois. His body was also decomposed near railroad tracks in June of 78, and he died of a severe head injury. Well, William pled not guilty to all of this, saying he had multiple personalities and his alter ego did the killings. That was his plea. That was his defense. So basically he's confessing, but it was his alter ego that did it. January of 1980, his trial began in Lancaster County, Nebraska for Jacob Serber and John Simpson's murders. William was troubled and showed odd behavior, so they petitioned for him to get checked out for insanity to see if he was fit to stand trial. And he was found mentally competent to stand trial, and this was in December of 1980. So they checked him out again in 1981 and gave him another exam after he was starting to deteriorate mentally. He could not tell what was real and what was fake. He developed delusions and hallucinations. His new trial he had a new trial in August, and then I got written down here September 2nd. He was examined again. The trial started in August, but September 2nd he was examined again. And he was examined at Lincoln Regional Center and was found not fit for trial. Okay, so his charges were dismissed because of insanity. He was in a mental facility in December of 81, but he escaped 2 weeks later and was found by railroad tracks December 17th and was returned. And this was at the end of 1981. After his treatment at the hospital, he was moved to Alliance, Nebraska. Alliance is a city. Good Samaritan Village Nursing Home. It is now called something different. That was the name back then. Then he was moved to Wadsworth Old Soldiers Home. That's the one that's called something different. Sorry, excuse me. It's this. There's so many different hospitals he was in, but this Wadsworth Old Soldiers Home in Kansas is now called something different, and I didn't write it down. But mid of 1983. So this is mid 83. He left. He walked away from the hospital without being seen, and he went back to his old lifestyle, which is not good. He was found and arrested again after being suspected of a murder in Bellevue. He was ruled out for this one, but was put into another hospital. He spent his last years in eastern Texas in a mental institution, dying March 31st of 1996. That was when he died. Still to this day, his guilt in all of these murders have been debated for years. Now, I'm reading this and I'm just like, he already confessed, saying his alter ego did it. I don't know if that considers it's a confession or not. I would think it would. It was him that did it, but he didn't know he was doing it, is what he's trying to say. Parts of this is so similar from episode 42 that I did. Like I said, the one I cannot remember the name of the guy that did it, but he was Joseph Robert Miller. That's his name. I still have my notes right here with all my other, but that was the one that I did last time, episode 42 last week. But I have not heard of the story. This just baffles me. And he died in 1996, which I would have thought for sure I would have heard about that, but I didn't. So this really has me I just couldn't believe it when I was looking this up. I've never heard of this dude, but it is William Freight Train Gautney, and that was his story. And these poor victims, these boys, and like I said, there was one female that was found murdered, and he was never found guilty for all of these because he was in a mental institution. And that's the whole thing about the debate about this. Wow. Like I said, it really has you thinking. It really leaves you thinking. So that is the story this week. I'm so happy to get suggestions because I really need suggestions. I will leave my email in the show notes, my Instagram. I'm also on Twitter and Facebook. I usually end my episodes by talking about anything new I've watched. So I did watch season 1 on Peacock. It's a show called Based on a True Story. It is about true crime. It is so out there. This would never happen. But if you like series that don't take themselves too seriously and are funny, it's one of those you think, my gosh, this could never happen. But I can't stop watching it. It's so entertaining. Oh my gosh. It has the girl from Big Bang Theory. And the one gal that I cannot remember her name was in Stranger Things. She was the older sister of the kid who went missing in the house in the first season of Stranger Things. I cannot think of her name. And then she started dating his brother, his older brother, but then the other guy, the hot guy she liked at the beginning of the series of Stranger Things. And then, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. But she was the one who is at the very beginning. I don't want to give it away, but okay, she's in this, and what it is the Big Bang Theory girl. I can never remember her name because I can't pronounce it. You know who I'm talking about. Her husband was in Julie and Julia, if you've ever seen that movie, and that's the only movie I know that he was in, but he was Julie's husband in that, who was Amy Adams. He is in Based on a True Story. Husband and wife, they're down and out. They don't have much money. She's pregnant, and she's big on true crime podcasts. And she tells her husband, they find out that I don't want to give too much away, but they find out who there's a serial killer going around Los Angeles, and they find out who he is. Instead of calling the police, guess what they do? They come up with an idea for a podcast where they actually have this serial killer talk on the podcast. But the deal is he cannot kill anybody else. So, okay, it sounds out there the way I'm explaining it, but give it a try. Just give it a try. And if you watch it, let me know what you think. At first, I thought, boy, people are probably going to be really upset over this. But it's not true. It's not true. But some people, I just thought, oh, boy, I don't know if this is going to go over very well. But I'm telling you what, it's one I couldn't stop watching. And I had no idea the last episode I watched yesterday was going to be the last one. I'm like, that's it? That's the last one? So, but give this one a try if you got Peacock or if you are able to get it somehow. That is what I watched. I didn't really watch much of anything else. I started a movie called Licorice Pizza that I DVR'd that was on our satellite dish. And I don't know if anybody's seen that. I watched like the first part of it and I had to turn it off because it got late. I can't make heads or tails of it right yet. I don't know where it's going. Maybe I'll come back with a review on that one. But as of that, that is all for today. I've been crafting nothing. I've been getting those old little golden books that you know, the ones that you get as a kid. I've been going through and adding pages to those for like activities. For example, I'm doing one called Cats, little golden book right now, and I'm adding like word search, unscramble, cat themed stuff, just different little things in there that I'm putting more into the book. And I love how people redo these books, but and it basically just adds more things to them for kids' enjoyment. I have so many little golden books that I'm going to do this with. But that is what I'm up to. We do have a 3-day weekend. Monday is a holiday. Post offices are closed and banks are closed. It is Juneteenth. This holiday started last year, but it was announced 2 years ago. It is always on June 19th. And it is for the emancipation of the slaves, which is a celebration. Has been celebrated for many, many years in different states. They just made it a national holiday 2 years ago. So what a wonderful day to have. So that is Monday. So I wanted to just remind everybody that it is a holiday, June 19th. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Even if you are a cat dad or a dog dad. My husband's a cat dad. And I had to get him this. Oh, I better not say anything in case he's listening. Casey's listening? Don't listen to this. Turn it off right now if you are listening. My husband, if my husband's listening, turn it off. Because I never told him anything about. We never really get each other stuff for Mother's Day or Father's Day. This year I did. I will have to talk about it next time. So, that's all for today, everybody. Don't forget to get those suggestions in. If you have any other suggestions, this is a podcast about murder in the Midwest. I also go further out. If there's any crimes that need attention right now, unsolved murders, anything that you want me to talk about, just feel free to email me or get a hold of me on Instagram or any other social media platform. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and Father's Day and Juneteenth. And I will see you next time.